paper bags require mature trees to be harvested. So there's a ton of impacts. And around the world, these single-use bags are being banned and taxed, so to reduce their use. But reusable bags are not necessarily the silver bullet solution, because we looked at 3 different local grocery stores and surveyed 150 people, and about 20% of people in Palo Alto, which is a very green community, use these bags. So, and overall on the national scale, it's about 10% of people use reusable bags. So little incentives like at Whole Foods, a 5-cent bonus, doesn't actually get you to bring your bag to the store. Just talking to people, that's meaningless to them. So we came together as a team devoted to trying to solve this problem, trying to use the power of business to change the way people behave.
So our first idea was called Rebasket, and we wanted to just completely eliminate bags from the equation. The idea was customers would come to the grocery store, grab a basket, load up their groceries, check out, and just take the basket home with them, and then bring it back next time. We thought this was a pretty cool idea. We went out and talked to some people, talked to 30 customers, 5 store managers, and 4 moms, and we found out that everybody likes the idea of eliminating single-use bags, but most people really didn't like the idea of baskets. They're kind of gross, you'd have to store them at your house, and it's just kind of messy. Plus, it would be a pretty big initial cost for us to manufacture all these baskets and distribute them. So we knew we had to pivot. Our next idea was to just increase the number of tote bags out there. We had ideas like make them more stylish and fashionable, and we also found a statistic that 1/3 of men now do the shopping in US families, so maybe make some bags that are targeted to men. Again, we went out and talked, and again we found out we would need to pivot. Turns out that a lot of people actually already have tote bags, they just don't remember to use them. In addition, a lot of these people got their bags for free, and men, it turns out, don't really care what they look like, so trying to sell these bags isn't much of a business. And that's when we realized that the problem isn't the availability of these bags, it's psychology. We need to get people bringing their tote bags more.
So enter GreenStar. We asked the question, how can we actually reward people for their environmentally conscious behavior? And just with the assumption that, just been talking to people, that 5 cents at Whole Foods per bag is just meaningless when you're spending $100 on kale. So basically, we want to provide real value. And we asked, what do these customers want? So we went to the store, and basically just, it's a little stretched out, but we asked them if getting rewards beyond simple cash incentives would help them remember to bring bags. And most people said, yeah, it would. Then we made it more specific. What kind of rewards would you like? What would help you the most? And these people, among these options, most people said, we want green products. That's why we're here. So that kind of got us to our model for GreenStar, which is maybe you attach a small reusable or a small clip-on barcode to a reusable bag. In exchange, you give the store your email address. You bring that bag back and you scan it. Every time you scan it, you earn green points. And if you earn enough green points, you get access to these promotional goods. So we're thinking about what kind of companies would be interested in targeting these green consumers. Ecotourism operations. Say in Costa Rica, these turtle ecotourism operations. Talking about green products from green companies like Method and organic local restaurants, giving people vouchers to these restaurants. So there's lots of different ways we can run with it.
Cool. So our next step was actually to go out there and talk to the customers. So to actually pitch this actual concept in front of them. And in general, we had quite a bit of positive feedback. But as you can see from the bottom quote, not everyone wants to talk to you. This guy literally, we went up to him and said, "What would you think?" He looked at us and said, "I'm an 80-year-old man," and walked off. We learned a little bit about our target customer. So we also took a look at the competitive landscape to see if anyone else was out there trying to incentivize this sort of behavior. And it turned out there's quite a diverse group of companies out there trying to encourage sustainable behavior. Among those, actually, we found that Recycle Bank was probably the one that we thought was most promising. It basically rewards you for recycling using an RFID chip in your recycling bin. So it's frictionless and it's pretty ubiquitous. So that's a nice idea. Customers seem to like it, but how do we actually make money here? So our first assumption actually was that grocery stores would pay it for us. We're reducing their costs and they're spending on inventory, and so naturally you'd think, yeah, these guys would be willing to give us a little bit of a cut. But we found out that despite the fact it's non-negligible for them, it wasn't like their biggest pain point. So as a result, they were a bit mixed on it, and it's very unlikely that these guys were our first early adopters. So we then decided to outreach to companies, which was a fun challenge. So we ended up cold calling 35 companies, had conversations with 12 of them, learned how to get crafty and creative in trying to do this. We used LinkedIn to our advantage to pinpoint the appropriate people. And we also called distribution companies who could tell us which of these companies have been talking to them and who the person we should be approaching is. And yeah, we got some cool feedback. The main thing was these guys were very interested in actually providing us these products and these gift baskets we'd be giving people. But as you can see from the second quote, despite the fact they're willing to give us samples of these products, they weren't necessarily interested in paying for it. So this probably wasn't a viable revenue model for us in the future. So unfortunately, where we are right now is we don't really have a revenue model just now yet. We went back and asked who really gets value from this, and we came up with 3 different ideas. From that, we actually thought the municipalities is probably the most promising. We looked at recycle bags model. That's actually how they generate the bulk of their revenue, is from municipalities paying them to introduce this service per household. They're the ones who really deal with the pain issues, as we'll show later, and they're the ones who really incur the cost of this problem. So we also decided we'd do some projected costs to see what things look like when we started to scale them. And this actually threw up some worrying things. Most likely for us, the distribution of reward baskets. It turns out sending a lot of these costs a lot of money. So we have to rethink the cost structure slightly if we want this to be a scalable business.
So as Matt mentioned, we knew when we took on this project we were going to have significant risks involved. Chief among them is the revenue stream, size and diversification. Ideally, we can try to get municipalities to pay for this, but we haven't really validated this point yet. Secondly, we don't know whether customers will buy into the system, if people will actually do what they'll say they'll do. So we'll have to test that. And thirdly, we don't know how quick grocery stores will be to respond and make these changes. So I'm raising the game. However, despite these risks, we recognize that there's tremendous opportunity if we could somehow reduce plastic bag use. In the U.S. alone, $4 billion are spent a year by the grocery store industry on plastic bags. That's likely to go up as they switch to paper bags. $33.5 million are spent by the state of California cleaning up and putting in landfills plastic bags. And if in New York City each shopper used one less plastic bag each time to the grocery store, the whole city would save $250,000. So it's pretty significant.
So taking all this information into account, we basically need to get out there and start talking to our people at our local landfills, figuring out what their pain points are and if this would really benefit them. Furthermore, we need to refine the actual method of distributing our green rewards, because that was a significant cost to us. So we've learned a lot through this process. I'd say foremost is that just getting out in the parking lot of Whole Foods and talking to customers teaches you so much more than any amount of Google searching can. And we also learned that you basically just have to ask all along, where's the value? Where's the value flowing? Because in this process, we think we've learned to create a lot of value for a lot of different consumers, a lot of different parties. But if we'd asked these questions earlier on, we would have been talking to municipalities a month ago. And last, just because you're creating value, it doesn't mean people are willing to pay for it. So that's where we have to start really getting creative, talking to more people. We'd like to thank Wilson Farrar and Eric Wilson, our mentors, and our impromptu experts from Bon Appetit's Melissa Rainin, who gave us the lowdown on the barcode industry. Yeah. Thank you guys. Any questions?